like, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments where you guys would place all of these heroes and villains and where you think I should have placed mine. But let us get started. I have to put Maul up in S. I think his forward slash spinning ability was pretty devastating, and him being able to toss you, which on a lot of maps was very useful and viable, being able to toss you off the edge as well, obviously. But he had a lot of movement. He was pretty mobile, high damage, pretty mobile, so it was Maul was always a pretty solid choice. And I would have to say, honestly, the same with Vader. I think the amount of damage he could do with the chokes, and him being able to throw his lightsaber as well was pretty devastating. He was definitely always a good villain choice for sure. Palpatine, not so much. Definitely not very high damage. Much more of a utility hero. I think he was useful with some, maybe if you're playing with friends or some, certain villain builds, but overall, I wouldn't choose him. There's definitely a lot better choices here as far as villains. Oh, let's see. Bosk, honestly, I have to put down here too. Aside from his toxic trap, he could do some decent damage, but overall, a lot of the shooting units here were just outshined basically by everybody else and could pretty easily be dealt with. Boba Fett, I definitely have to put an S as well. I think the high amount of mobility he had, plus as much damage as he could do, was pretty nasty, honestly. He was definitely a super solid choice, and there was a lot of ways that he could be insanely OP on certain maps and with certain builds, So Boba Fett was always a super solid choice. Let's see, Chewbacca. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Chewbacca was maybe a C as well. Yeah, I can't really put him into B. I don't think he was just, I'll put Han into, honestly, I'll put Han into A. I just think he's arguably the best shooter here out of all of them. But Chewie, yeah, he just his abilities and everything weren't great, and he was pretty easy to deal with once you got up to him. But Han definitely had a higher amount of damage output, as well as just some, if they did get close, you can, run up and stun them. So it was good. Kylo Ren, I'll give to A. I think he had a good amount of damage output for sure. I think he was just kind of outshined by some other people and some other choices. But he was always a very solid choice as well. Yeah, I think Yoda I have to give to S. I think because he was, honestly, the biggest reason why he's an S and not A is because he was so small and hard to hit. Obviously, yes, you have a little bit of lack on ability, especially with certain abilities used and everything, but still, he was so hard to hit consistently with hit scan units like Bosk and Boba Fett and everything, and even against other Siths, obviously, he could still be so mobile that it's hard to hit, and he's so little. His abilities are alright, but I think the biggest thing that throws him into S is his size, honestly. Grievous. I feel like Grievous is an A. I feel like his lack of mobility definitely kind of hurt him. Now, while you can say yes, he had the little crawly sprint thing, But overall, he was very much more of a tank. I think he was much better in game modes where it's not heroes versus villains. It's you get General Grievous against clone troopers and all of that. Those types of game modes. All the other ones, I think he excelled a lot more in there. Um, but so did obviously everybody else, really. But he wasn't bad. I think there was a lot of stuff that he could do, like the essentially quad laser lightsaber spinning was pretty nasty, trying to get up close. He could do a good amount of damage for sure, but to get that close and have not as much mobility to get in and out and be much more of a stationary tank, he needed help. But still a solid choice. Leia. Leia, I'll give to A. I think because she had fully automatic, it was good. I think she could definitely deal out some damage. Definitely not an S tier, but I just kind of couldn't put her in B. I felt like she was a very solid choice as far as if you want to or had to choose a person that essentially wasn't a Jedi, then her or Han are the go-to choices for sure. Rey, honestly, I'm gonna put Rey in B. I believe she was the one that made you, whatever input you were choosing was incorrect, so she would, or maybe that was Obi-Wan. Either way, Obi-Wan's B as well. Made you confused as far. I think that was actually Obi-Wan that made you confused. So if you're moving left, you're actually moving right, and vice versa. But that was only for a few seconds, and he really wasn't good outside of that. Rey was very mid, very okay. Unfortunately, you kind of had to choose her if you wanted, all lightsabers on your team, kind of. Just because there's kind of less choices on the Jedi side as far as lightsabers, for sure. There's actually only 4. So she was okay, but again, just kind of better choices overall. I think Luke was definitely better. I can't really give him the S. I think he is a very strong choice, but I just don't think his abilities and everything really stepped him up. Anakin, I'll give to A as well. I think he was just a very solid choice, but again, his abilities didn't push him to the next aspect. Same with Dooku as well, honestly. Let's see, Lando. Yeah, Lando I have to honestly give to C. I just think there are so many better choices as far as the hero side than Lando, really. Captain Phasma, I'll give to B. I think a lot of this, I think she was good. She has and had a lot of upside, but I think still overall she was not very consistent. It was much more based on the rest of your team, how you were playing, where you were playing, and as well as the enemy team as well. But having the turret was nice. If the Jedis did get close, having something to essentially combat them was nice as well. And you had the long range with the gun. Overall, very solid, but very inconsistent depending on your team, your placement as far as where you're playing, and the enemy team as well, whether they're dealing with you or not. Iden Versio, I'll give to B as well. I don't think she was super good, much at all, really. She had some decent abilities, kind of, but just consistency not really there. Again, if you're choosing the villain side of it and the Sith side, you know, you have all of these other way better choices above her, or even I would choose Phasma over her. Um, but that's just me. I actually never saw or played with these, so I don't know what's going on there. And I actually don't remember this guy's name. I apologize for that. But yeah, I don't remember. I'll give him to B. I feel like he was decent, but again, just better choices. I don't remember a lot of his abilities. Obviously, I know he had a gun. But yeah, this is where I would place everybody for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Let me know down in the comments where you guys would place everybody, what you guys think about my placements. Check out my other old Star Wars Battlefront 2